Good morning, everyone. We kindly ask you to take your seats as the ceremony is about to begin.
Please stand for the invocation. God of joy and hope, we thank you for this time of graduation. Your spirit of wisdom has empowered these graduates' hard work and discipline, and their hunger for learning has been nourished with knowledge, discovery, creativity, and determination. As they prepare to receive their diplomas, let them walk in prayerful gratitude for the many blessings that have made this moment real and filled with great potential. In gratitude, we pray for our families and the many who have sacrificed and worked to see this hopeful moment. In gratitude, we pray for the teachers, administrators, and staff who have challenged and cared along this academic journey. In gratitude, we pray for their fellow students who have taught about friendship, collaboration, and sharing. God, even as they have faced challenges and accomplished much, they understand that their lives now move into a new chapter where there will be more challenges to face and more will be demanded of them in order to accomplish good things. May your grace cover their anxieties and fears so that they may stay encouraged about the future. May your Spirit guide them as they unfold the next chapters of their lives, and may this celebration be a reflection of the blessings that we find in knowing and loving you. For this is the day that you have made. We are glad and rejoice in it. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good morning, St. Andrews. It's a wet one, but it's a good one. Excited to be inside with you today. On behalf of my fellow trustees, it's wonderful to welcome our students, faculty, staff, parents, grandparents, family, and friends to campus to celebrate the commencement of the amazing class of 2026. We welcome everyone here who's here in person and also joining us via live stream. For most of my adult life, my vocation has taken me to countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. looking for interesting businesses in which to invest. While these regions and each country within them are dramatically different, please sit. Thanks. While each of these regions and the countries within them are dramatically different, there is one common way to understand them. To understand a place, you must understand its traditions. And my favorite tradition is in Mexico, Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. I've witnessed families come together to honor those who've come before them, not with sorrow, but with remembrance, gratitude, and respect. That tradition preserves identity, connects generations, and reminds the community of shared values even as the world continues to change. And traditions at St. Andrews play that same role. They foster identity and belonging, link generations of students, and reinforce the values on which this school is built. And by all accounts, the class of 2026 has done a spectacular job of honoring the traditions entrusted to them, and have done so with perseverance and passion. Even torrential rains doesn't slow them down. So thank you for your leadership. Class of 2026, just like Dia de los Muertos, by respecting the past, you also shape the future. You've created your own Dia de los Santos, Day of the Saints, and your legacy will endure far, far beyond today. And seniors, today you become alumni of St. Andrews and join the group responsible for stewarding the future St. Andrews. We ask that you stay connected to your school, give back any way you can, and help your fellow St. Andreans when asked. Class of 2026, go forth and continue to foster the values that St. Andrews traditions have taught you. And in your future lives, find ways to create new traditions and reinforce and share those values in the communities that you build. Day of the Saints.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I join Richard Vaughn in his warm welcome to the class of 2026 and your loved ones who have traveled here, and many who are on the live stream, to join this moment of celebration, recognition, and new beginnings. Families, we are grateful for all you have done to make this graduation possible. It takes a lot of courage to bring your children to boarding school, entrusting them to us, and believing that what they will gain will be more than what you are giving up. I salute all the families here today for the selfless act of sending these young people to St. Andrews, through which you made this moment possible. The learning and the growth, the community, the friendships, your generosity has made us all better, and the world will be better for it. I would also like to thank Richard Vaughn and my fellow trustees, some of whom join us on the platform today, and one of whom is a parent of our graduating class, for the tireless volunteer work they do, setting the course of St. Andrews School. Without their dedication, generosity, and wisdom, we would not be here today. Our faculty and staff, too, deserve thanks and recognition. As coaches, teachers, mentors, your countless hours of work have shaped this class, this school, and the world beyond it. The work of a boarding school is a calling, and each of you has answered that call relentlessly and humanely every day. We are all so grateful. Each year during commencement, we recognize the faculty and staff who have served the school and its students for 25 years. Today, we recognize the service of a teacher, our colleague, Fred Geyersbach. Fred Geyersbach arrived at St. Andrews in the fall of 2001. At the time, the school's artistic programs were thriving, despite having no proper facilities. Painting, drawing, and ceramics were taught in a small garage that had housed the school laundry, while the jazz band, concert band, and choirs rehearsed and performed in the wrestling room, inspired literally by the pervasive smell of sweaty socks. And then came Fred. By the time O'Brien Arts Center opened 4 years later, Fred had already transformed instrumental music at St. Andrews. He founded the school's first orchestra and recruited the students who would compose the overture of the remarkable program we know today. There was no orchestra, no rehearsal space, no tradition to inherit, only Fred's conviction that orchestral music could become an essential part of life at this school. The students followed his lead, and so it has. And now, 25 years later, after thousands of hours of lessons, rehearsals, jazz concerts, orchestra recitals, and composition classes, the instrumental music program Fred envisioned has fully found its voice. His work has not only strengthened the arts at St. Andrews, it has brought greater beauty, discipline, harmony, and joy into the daily rhythm of this community. Fred, thank you for the 25 years you have spent composing a new movement for St. Andrews. Please come forward to receive a medal to recognize your extraordinary contributions. St. Andrews plays an important public role, educating dedicated citizens who vote, who serve and lead in their communities, and participate fully and with magnanimity, restraint, and courage in the important debates shaping this country in our journey to become an ever more perfect union. This year marks the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, and tomorrow is one of our most important and solemn patriotic observances, Memorial Day, when we remember those who have lost their lives serving the people of the United States of America and in the interest of freedom and democracy. We do not take this for granted, and we remember those around the world who fight for peace, freedom, and democracy in their own lands. We enjoy the many privileges of living in the United States in peace today because of the bravery and sacrifice of so many, including some of you. I would ask any present who have served in any branch of the United States Armed Forces to please rise and be recognized. I would also like to mention a special recognition from the Orion Military Scholars Program for 2 students in the graduating class who are from military families, families who often do not receive the thanks they deserve for their own sacrifices. I will read the citation and then ask the students to come forward to receive their certificate and challenge coin. These certificates of outstanding achievement are presented to Toby Nix and Isla Balderson for their determination, hard work, and leadership as graduates of Orion Military Scholars Program. Congratulations on your accomplishments at St. Andrews School and your commitment to continued learning. Bravo, Zulu. Please come forward, Isla and Toby. Now I have one last word for our graduating 6th formers. You won't hear from me again until your 5th reunion. Before the square dance, your 3rd form year, I told you that as a saint, you are part of something powerful, durable, and significant. I told you it would be hard sometimes, but that anything worthwhile always is. And here you are, and by now you know for sure that you are part of and creators of something powerful, durable, and significant. You have learned that you can do hard things. You are certainly not the people you were when you arrived here. You have grown and changed so much. You chose St. Andrews each day you were here. You opted in. You have paid attention and kept an open mind, the very best qualities of the very best humans. You must continue to do this. Today, as we celebrate you and all you have accomplished, we also send you into the future with great optimism. I hope you can feel in this room how much confidence we have in you, in your integrity, your curiosity, your decency, and imagination. You will need this confidence in an uncertain world, but you have practiced it here, and you know how to get up again when you fall, how to ask for help, and how to connect with and inspire those you may find beside you. You are not afraid of hard work, and you understand how to do that work with headwinds and within constraints. You have engaged in serious moral reflection, and you know the difference between right and wrong. Confidence in these things will serve you well and will serve our world, which is sorely in need of them. There will, however, be times when that confidence is elusive. Enid said something in her remarks during Mean Chapel that really moved me. She shared that one thing she had learned at St. Andrews is that faith can coexist with profound uncertainty. This comment stopped my heart, that you could have learned this here, that you can live with conviction even as you don't know what lies ahead. Faith in learning, our school motto, means that you can believe and still question. I hope as you leave St. Andrews, you will continue to be propelled by your own curiosity, even as you are steadied by what is right. Thank you, class of 2026. Thank you for choosing St. Andrews every day that you were here, and for leaving it better than you found it. You are ready now, but always remember, you carry with you the spirit of this place and these people and all of our love and our hopes for the future. We will now hear from your co-presidents, and first we'll hear from Abe.
Good morning, friends, families, faculty, and staff. This past fall, I was home in Baltimore visiting my dad. And yes, Baltimore is the best city in the world. I don't care what you think. My sister suggested we drive around to our old schools. We ended up in front of St. Paul's, the all-boys high school I would have attended if I hadn't come to St. Andrews. We pulled up and just sat there for a minute. Yeah, that would have been so different, she said. She was right. I would have been at a day school. No family-style dinners, no frosty runs, no late-night tuck-ins, no senior exhibitions on Beloved where you discuss Setha's thick love or Pauli's fragile masculinity. At the time, I shrugged it off. But that fall, back at St. Andrews, I got strep throat. Thank you, Fleming residents. And stuck in bed with my throat on fire, I was forced to think about that alternate timeline. I realized I wouldn't have become a writer, I wouldn't have acted in plays, I wouldn't have rowed. The person I am now only exists because I kept choosing to opt in, even when it felt weird or uncomfortable. Before coming here, I never really saw myself as a writer. That changed when Mr. Hill told me to go all in. And I actually listened. A few of us even revived the Dead Poets Society and started hosting poetry readings around campus. I couldn't have imagined finding these people anywhere else. Then there's acting. My mom had been suggesting it for years since I performed in the 5th grade musical, You Will Never Hear Me Sing. And I kept saying no. Junior year, I finally gave in, mostly to escape cross country. I had to learn a British accent for the role, got close to people I never really talked to before, and loved it so much I did it again this fall. Mrs. Taylor helped me grow into a more confident person than I ever expected. And then there was rowing, which I genuinely did not see coming. Well, I said no freshman year. Here's the thing about rowing, you can't hide. You're pushing to see what your body can do, and everyone in the boat knows if you're giving it everything or holding back. We're breathing together, moving together, enduring together. I can't say that I love rowing, but I respect the heck out of that sport. Here's the thing. Being one of the fewer black students at this school meant I was intentional about building community. Every time I said yes to something uncomfortable, I didn't just find an activity, I found people. I found it in Dr. Chu's Chinese classroom. When I told people I was taking Chinese, their response was pretty consistent. Spanish is more practical. So I said yes anyways. Dr. Chu somehow convinced me to create a graphic novel in Chinese about a superhero environmental activist. She pushed me, always gently. Having Austin by my side every year made it feel less like a class and more like an adventure. Dr. Chu's classroom felt like home, and that only happened because I ignored the practical advice. Class of 2026, we spent the last 4 years doing exactly that. We've tried things we never thought we'd try, we failed at some of them, and surprised ourselves with others. That's what opting in actually means. Not just saying yes to the activity, but saying yes to whoever shows up alongside you. Sometimes I think about that kid who would have walked through those St. Paul's doors. He would have been fine, probably, but he wouldn't have stood in front of you today. He wouldn't have written anything worth reading, performed in a play, pulled an oar, or learned to say, 我即将毕业 in Dr. Chu's classroom. He wouldn't have found his people in as many different places. That version of me never got to opt in, and I'm grateful every day that I did. So, here's to the class of 2026. Here's to all the things we said yes to, and to whoever we said yes to them with. Thank you.
Good morning. First, I want to thank my siblings for being my rocks, and for my parents for making it possible to be here. I want to thank my advisor, Dr. Hyde, who's been like a second mom to me. Thank you to all the wonderful faculty and staff for creating an atmosphere of love and care while pushing me to be my best. I especially want to thank Abe, my co-president, for becoming like a brother to me. Every moment I would doubt myself or was at my lowest, you picked me up. And thank you to my classmates who shaped each and every moment of our time here and transformed this place into my home. One of my favorite moments was during the JV basketball game when we stormed the court mid-game when Natasha got her first and only three-pointer. We all ran onto the court cheerfully in the middle of the second half with about 6 minutes to go. The refs were completely bewildered at the scene and didn't even know what to do with us. I couldn't tell you who we were playing or what the score was, but I can remember the shouts of pure glee from Mr. Porch and Coach Jalen as if we'd won a national championship. This moment stuck with me because it sounded exactly like our grade. Loud, chaotic, supportive, and impossible to ignore. Even now, when I think about our class, I don't just picture the moments, but the voices behind them. The most memorable thing about our grade is how undeniably recognizable each voice is. Whether it's Leo's voice echoing across the gym while he refs, Wadalvis after losing a very angry spike ball game, or if it's Bahar's voice rising above an ensemble, our sound feels unmistakably ours. Our voices and sounds carry through Andrian's, Knox and Tones, and orchestra. The talent of our grade fills the halls of the Art Center and Forbes. It's the yelling from my study room as we argued passionately about something that was definitely not that serious. It's the competitive energy spilling from every field. The splashes from the tee dock, the voices echoing through the woods. Wherever we go, we carry a sound. The screams of frustration as the paddle tennis ball ricocheted against the iron walls of the court, the cheers that erupt after each performance, the laughter as we stumbled through the trails or flipped a canoe. The sound of footsteps racing through the halls, ceilings shaking beneath our dorm rooms. The chatter of roommates drifting through closed doors late at night. Even though everyone's experience at St. Andrews is different, we all share the same soundscape. Whenever I go home or feel a moment of silence, I can't help but imagine the noises that filled it before. We may forget schedules, assignments, and tables, but I'll never forget the sound of the class of 2026. Years from now, something in the sound of footsteps echoing down a hallway or laughter carrying across a room, we will hear St. Andrews again. Thank you.
The Christopher Wilson Award and Scholarship given by his parents in memory of Christopher Edward Wilson, class of 1999. The award recognizes seniors who best embody Chris's virtues and personal qualities, a love of St. Andrews, a quiet and authentic appreciation of life, friendship and community, a devotion to service and to children, and a kind and generous spirit. Presented by Joshua Wilson, 95, brother of Christopher, to Eden Apia. The Kristen C. Dupre Diversity and Inclusivity Award, awarded in memory of Kristen C. Dupre, class of 2004, to the sixth form students who have provided exceptional service in the cultivation of a diverse and inclusive St. Andrews School community. Presented by Dean of Residential Life and Senior Associate Director of Admission, Stacy Dupre, and Dean of Inclusion and Belonging, Dr. Danica Tisdale Fisher, to Janie Sarang Kim and Caden Morrell. The John McGiff Fine Arts Award, awarded to the students who have made the greatest contribution in the fine arts and demonstrated a depth and quality of talent that demands our recognition. Presented by Arts Department Chair Ann Taylor to Jiahe Zhu and Margot Kat Firmenich. The Henry Prize, awarded to the sixth form students who have been of the greatest service to athletics. It recognizes not only personal athletic skill, but also service to the teams of which the students were members. Presented by Director of Athletics, Neil Cunningham, to Miriam Claire Hulsey and William Dormer Robinson. The Jonathan B. O'Brien Head of School Award. The Jonathan B. O'Brien Head of School Award celebrates the brilliant and courageous leadership and vision of St. Andrew's third headmaster, John O'Brien, who led the school from 1977 to 1997. The award recognizes seniors who contribute to the ethos of the school with integrity, humanity, generosity, and love. Presented by me to Margaret Mead Gilheeney. The King Prize, for the leading scholar during the sixth form year, presented by Dean of Teaching and Learning, Emily Pressman, to Jiahe Zhu. The Founders Medal, awarded to the scholar in the graduating class who, during their career at St. Andrews, has achieved the best academic record in the form. Presented by Dean of Teaching and Learning, Emily Pressman, to Jiahe Zhu. William H. Cameron Award, given to the sixth form students who have performed outstanding service to the school, presented by their advisors, Christopher Sanchez and Jason Hansel, to William Dormer Robinson and Joseph Leonard Teddy III. The St. Andrew's Cross, given in honor of the late Bishop Cook of Delaware, who was associated with the founding of the school. It recognizes the student whose contribution to the school has been distinguished for Christian qualities of concern for others, humility, and high principle. Presented by his advisor, Stephen Mafuka, to Abraham Debesai Perry. Each year, we invite a commencement speaker whose life and work embodies ideals we hold dear: curiosity, courage, integrity, among them. In that spirit, today, I am honored to welcome John Seabrook to deliver this year's commencement address. A chronicler of American culture and how it is actually made, a writer of unusual sensitivity, humor, and seriousness, Mr. Seabrook has been a staff writer at The New Yorker since 1993. He has specialized in long-form pieces whose subjects intersect the broad themes of culture, technology, and commerce. This past year alone, he has written a fascinating piece on the luxury features of new sports stadiums, an investigation of flood mitigation efforts in the wake of deadly floods in Texas, and a cultural history of doodles. You know, the hybrid dogs like Labradoodles, Golden Doodles, Bernedoodles, Aussie Doodles. I had no idea how many doodles there were until I read this article. I mention all this because Mr. Seabrook's range is obviously and unusually broad. I remember a piece 4 years ago on the design sounds that electric vehicles make. The topic, let's be honest, sounds dry, maybe a little trivial. But when you think about and learn about who composes those little tunes and why, and what they mean in a market, I must tell you it was one of the best things I read that year. In an age that we are told rewards specialization, John Seabrook is a true generalist. As a St. Andrews graduate, I believe his work appeals to us in a particular way. We appreciate the breadth of the thinking, the pure curiosity. We delight in the rabbit holes of the research. We love the work ethic and the patience. We know, and he knows, that any subject becomes fascinating if you just stay with it long enough. John Seabrook is a wonderful example of what we hope a St. Andrews education can do. The author of 5 books, Mr. Seabrook grew up in nearby Seabrook, New Jersey. His recent family memoir, The Spinach King, is the story of the frozen food empire his grandfather built, Seabrook Farms. The book is fascinating, but also unsparing in ways that reflect deep integrity. After graduating from St. Andrews in 1976, Mr. Seabrook went on to Princeton and then earned a master's degree at Oxford before beginning his journalism career. He lives in New York City with his family, including, I should say, his golden doodle, Herman. John, welcome back, and thank you for being here this morning and for always answering St. Andrew's call. Please welcome John Seabrook.
Thank you, Joy. And greetings, trustees, faculty, families, the student body, the larger St. Andrews community, and most of all, the graduating class of 2026. I am honored to be a part of this joyous day celebrating your outstanding achievements here at SAS. It also happens to be an important day, an important milestone for me. it has been 50 years minus 1 day since I was sitting where you're sitting, wearing exactly the same clothes that the guys are wearing now, graduating with the class of not 1776, but 1976. Close. And I'll be back here in 3 weeks with my classmates. Yesterday I was at Princeton celebrating my 45th reunion, so somehow I've reached the era of reunions with big numbers in front of them. I'd like to think that the feelings I remember having on my graduation day, excited, happy, but also a bit sad, proud, but anxious about my future and how well I would measure up to the world outside of this special, nurturing place. I was wondering whether those thoughts might not be too far from the emotions you're feeling this weekend and here today. Still, 50 years is by almost any measure other than the geological a very long time. When your head of school visited my wife and Lisa and me in our home in Brooklyn last January and asked me to speak today, my first thought was, what can 1976 have to say to 2006? I arrived at St. Andrews in its very last year as an all-boys school. It was the era of Watergate, the OPEC energy crisis. There was one computer at the school, and it took up a whole room in the basement of the Founders Building. There's also a room on C Corridor where students could smoke. Incredible. But here I am today because I had this idea. If I could speak to my younger self at his graduation, knowing what I know now, what would I say to him? What could I tell him that would help him in the years ahead? In the film Interstellar, there's a scene at the climax of the film when the main character, Cooper, tries to warn his younger self not to go on the mission he's then on by sending the message, "Stay," back through time. What messages would I send to my 17-year-old self if he could hear me now? I thought of 3. The first thing I would say is that although it seems like you're saying goodbye to St. Andrews today, you're actually not. You're going to carry all the best things about your years here: friendship, mentorship, the joy of learning, the desire to excel, teamwork, and faith along with you as you go through life. Not just for the next 5 or 10 years, but for the next 50. Your SAS experience is a movable feast. You're going to find out that by relying on the values you learned here, you'll keep yourself grounded as you go through life, no matter where life takes you. The second thing I would say to myself as a young man is, don't expect that your education and your classroom knowledge and your book smarts will align exactly or even closely with the opportunities that the world is going to offer you. Your career is going to lie in a completely different field than the one you've planned for yourself, young John Seabrook. You're never going to believe this, but the observational skills you learned in biology class with Mr. Amos, all those hours you spent closely observing and reporting on a colony of pine beetles in a dead log in the woods near Knoxontown Pond, will end up being put to use not in a laboratory as a researcher or even in the practice of science, but instead, spoiler alert, will lead to a long career of writing nonfiction for The New Yorker, where you will study and report on colonies not of beetles, but of people whose stories you will tell. Oh, and all those hours you spent on the water with Coach Washburn rowing will never get you to the Olympics, but it will give you the grit to face the challenges that lie ahead. The third thing I would say to myself is that your real diploma, your credential, is not the document you're about to receive today. Your credential is your prepared mind. A prepared mind possesses critical thinking skills and has the ability to adapt, to learn, unlearn, and relearn, and to live with uncertainty and keep moving forward. That's what will matter most in the years ahead. A prepared mind isn't the same as knowing what you want to do with your life. If you're lucky, opportunity will present you with a chance to do something you love, but it might not be obvious what that thing is. Instead of your mind, you may need to trust your intuition and your heart to find it. Whatever it is, it's probably not going to fit neatly into the future you may be imagining for yourself today, or what your parents have imagined for you. It's going to mean taking chances. It might be hard. It's going to be full of doubt and struggle. But if you figure out how to do something you love, doing it will be its own reward. In my case, it meant discovering that while I enjoyed science and natural history, the thing I really liked was the teacher, the great William Amos. I liked how he explained things. It took me a while to realize it, but I didn't actually want to do science and natural history. I wanted to explain it. Discovering that there was a field of writing, long-form journalism, that matched my skill set, and a place that would employ me to practice it, didn't occur until some years later when I took John McPhee's Literature of Fact course at Princeton in 1980. And then it required another 10 years after that of honing my craft before I got my first New Yorker piece published, and another 5 years more until I joined the staff. 20 years after I left college, I returned to teach that same Literature of Fact course myself, and one of my former students, a young woman from Wilmington, North Carolina named Lauren Collins, is now a colleague and one of the magazine's star millennial staff writers. All of that is going to happen to that kid sitting there with his class, and he has no idea. But it's all already in him. He just has to find it. But what if I were graduating with the class of 2026? As it happens, our daughter Rose Seabrook is graduating with the class of 2026 from her high school in Brooklyn. So I do think a lot about the world your generation is going to inherit and how best to prepare for it. One thing I didn't need to worry about back in 1976, but I suspect many of you may be thinking about now is, and yes, here comes the part of the speech, please hold your booing until the end when I talk about AI. How do you prepare to compete with a superintelligence who can do almost any job faster, cheaper, and maybe even better than humans can? I like to say to my daughter, congratulations, you're graduating at the most interesting possible moment in human history. Then she says to me, she reminds me of that supposed ancient Chinese proverb, may you live in interesting times, which was used as a curse. One of the things I've observed over a long career of writing about technology is how hard it is to predict the future. I think that's because, while it is sometimes possible to infer future outcomes from current events, it's impossible to anticipate how other changes will shape the way those outcomes are perceived. Still, it might be prudent for us to begin to imagine a world in which we are not the superior intelligence, because by the time you're out of college, that could be the case. I have a couple of thoughts on what that world might be like. There's no question that AI is going to allow your generation to accomplish incredible things in science and medicine. It will enable researchers to make extraordinary discoveries of new drugs and possibly find cures for diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and cancer. In business, whole new industries will grow up around applications and new consumer products and new sources of energy built around AI. In the arts, on the other hand, although AI will continue to democratize access to making movies and music, I see vibrant communities of AI resistance growing up, giving birth to new economies of artisans and craftspeople whose products will be AI-free, similar to the organic movement in agriculture. We're already seeing anti-AI political movements and we've hardly even begun to figure out how to regulate AI at a government level, and we will need new laws and policies to ensure that more than just a few get to share in the wealth AI will create. I'm actually kind of optimistic about having a superintelligence around, not just because of the things we might do with it, but also because of the things we might do in response to it. It seems to me that AI is going to force us to become more aware of our shared humanity, of what it means to be human. Paradoxically, I think AI could lead to a new kind of workplace humanism when the metrics of how we measure success begin to shift toward values like empathy, social intelligence, commitment to helping others, and building communities. What does success look like when skill is no longer scarce? Maybe success is not just productivity and profit. Maybe it's also measured by kindness and moral courage. Humans will seek roles that require presence, accountability, and a genuine stake in the outcome, things AI doesn't have. You're never going to outwork the machine, but you can outhuman it. I can't think of a better place to discover, learn, and internalize those human values than St. Andrews. And here, 1976 can speak to 2026, because the school's core values of mutual respect, empathy, and service haven't changed. So take pride in your critical thinking skills, hold on to your humanity, bring St. Andrews along the way to help you, and go out and be fantastic. Thank you all very much, and God bless the class of 2026.
A little shorter. Good morning. And now here we are for the awarding of diplomas, what we came here for. We'll begin with a certificate of attendance for our junior assist student from Germany, Lars Parch. Although he received his last year, I just want to welcome again our assist student from last year, Mark Levent Dalhorf, who has flown from Germany to be with his graduating class. I just want a huge welcome and applause for Mark. Thank you for coming all the way here. And now we begin with the awarding of diplomas to the class of 2026. Eden Apia. Inet Apia. Willa Kenzie Madeline Archer. Ayla Violet Walderson. Daphne Stewart Benfield. Hector McKegney Beasley. Bahar Bekir Effendi. Reda Alem Brigady. Phineas Nathaniel Brown. Roberto Bonetti Buccini. With Luis Burgos. Ian Clark Carenduff. Julia Tanner Caldwell. Nicholas Brunner Chapman. Bradley Taylor Cook. Catherine Gibson Curtis Kranye. Abigail Grace del Valle. Josephine Hatfield Denny. Carlisle Fontaine Dimitri. Burke Wister Donovan. Margot Cad Firmenich. Margaret Mead Galhini. Sadie David Mann Green. Mary Margaret Woodson Hall. George Bixby Hanrahan. Sophie Swift Lukens Hansen. Natasha Ellen Herder. Claire Catherine Hoops. Miriam Claire Halsey. Christian Peter Hunter. Surang Z Green. Lawson Cole Kellner. Jenny Sarang Kim. Inez Menoyo Kosik. Trey Jason Lazar. Sol Bean Lee. George Galodet Lindsay. Peter Calder Lopez. Linda Sable Lunsford. Austin G. McClintock. Ariana Marcus. Ian James McDonald. Rafael Harrison Macklin. Andrew Ryan Merriman. Evan Andrew Messina. Lawson Veer Meyer. I know how to pronounce this one. Gabriel David Miller Ramirez. Oliver Ronald Mice. Caden Morrell. Toby, Gandhi, Nix. Sophie, Louise, Parlin. Abraham, Debesay, Perry. Carrie, Bethan, Phillips. Kaylee, Bell, Carol, Rivera. Graham, Newsom, Robinson. William, Dormer, Robinson. Madison, Jaylene Rodriguez Castillo. Caspian, Jacques Ramani Ruff. Josephine Ann Scott Barnes. Brooke Elizabeth Simonson. Anya Fatema Solari. Hudson Emerson Stewart. Joseph Leonard Tatey III. William Anderson Tower. Charlotte Felicia Trubb. Samuel Lewis White. Thomas Oliver White. Alexandra Evelyn Woods Wilkins. Ethan Sebastian Williams. Lila Cameron Worth. Ming-Chi Xie. Kazuhiro Braden Yamada. Hai Chung Yu. He Chu. Congratulations, now alums. Woohoo! Another applause for the class of 2026.
Please stand for the benediction. God of journeys, endings, and new beginnings, through the highs and lows, the twists and turns this class has faced along the way, we give you thanks and praise for the goodness that shines in the relationships formed, knowledge learned, and memories made through St. Andrews. As your classes and grading are now complete, may you strive toward excellence in all you do. As the speeches have ended, may your voices rise up to pronounce justice and peace in this world. As the fanfares cease, may you sing of joy even in the dark and lonely places. As the applause quiets, may you celebrate and lift up those around you. Now that you have graduated, may your achievements grow and inspire your communities, and may you never be an agent of oppression to yourself or to another person. May the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Congratulations.
Congratulations to the class of 2026. Just a reminder, the underformers will have lunch in the dining hall. The graduates and their guests are welcome to have lunch upstairs. Thank you. Go Saints!